You're listening to the Snob OS podcast, the podcast for Apple snobs. Yo, this is Terrance Gaines, aka Brother Tech.
And this is Nica Montford, aka Tech Savvy Diva.
And welcome back to the Snob OS show, the show for Apple snobs, where we talk all things Apple and then some. We want to welcome you back to another episode. This is episode 319 of the Snob OS show. And like we always do, we always want to say thank you to all of our listeners, supporters, followers. Keep doing it. If you could, please make sure you listen and or watch, rate, and review the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on YouTube. And Spotify, you can choose to listen and or watch us. So definitely do that. Make sure you share, make sure you leave a comment, make sure you show us some love. Second thing you can do is go to our Patreon. If you love the show and you want to contribute financially, go to patreon.com/snoboscast, become a snobist member. And as a thank you, we will give you access to the show early. We'll give you access to live exclusive content that we just talk about on that show that is specifically for our Patreon supporters. So if you love the show that much, show us some love. Without further ado, we're going to jump into the lowdown where we talk all things Apple. And the first thing that caught my eye was Apple finally responds to the ruling in the Epic Games case. So basically, I'm just going to read a timeline of what happened before now. For those who don't know, in 2021, Epic won an injunction that prohibited Apple from blocking developers from steering users to alternative payment methods. Basically, you can choose to either buy it via Apple's wallet and their subscription process, or you can click a link. It'll take you to Fortnite, for example. You buy your coins or your in-app purchases or whatever, you do that on Epic's website. And the reason why Epic wanted to do that, because if they do that, they no longer have to pay that hefty commission fee that Apple wants anytime anybody adds something to the App Store, anytime people buys things using the App Store. So that's what happened back in 2021. Then in April, a new ruling found that Apple was in civil contempt for allegedly undermining the original injunction. So I don't know if Apple just ignored it. I can't remember if Apple just ignored it. They just said, oh, well, we'll try to do a little bit of things, but they didn't do all the stuff.
I think they were dragging it out, getting the external links put in.
Okay.
That's what it was.
Yeah. All right. So then U.S. District Judge Yvonne Gonzalez Rogers had enough and issued a sweeping new injunction. Among the new terms, Apple could no longer take any cut from purchases made outside its own in-app payment systems, nor could it restrict how and where developers link out to third-party payment platforms. So basically what happened was this ruling came down. Apple was stalling, dragging their feet. Because Apple was stalling, dragging their feet, giving everybody the runaround, this judge come in and say, all right, bet, y'all want to play? We're going to do this on top of the initial ruling, right? Mm-hmm. So Apple's like, ho, wait a minute. In this week's filing, this is Apple's response. Apple said the updated order, which is the lady pissing her off up to here, the updated order effectively rewrites the rules and punishes it for conduct that isn't illegal under California's unfair competition law. It also argues that civil contempt powers are supposed to enforce existing orders, not impose harsher ones after the fact. So I wanted to bring this up to get your take on Epic's ruling, Apple dragging their feet, this judge imposing new sanctions, I'll call them sanctions, and then Apple saying, hey, that's unfair for you to do that. What's your take?
I think they might actually win this solely because it's one thing to issue a ruling and it's one thing for Apple to stall. You can, typically assess fines for, not following the order, but to completely give new orders, I think that may be outside the purview, and you could tell based on the content from this article from 9 to 5 Mac that it was basically retaliatory, that
Sure.
this judge was pretty much retaliatory to Apple because they didn't do what she said when she said it. So
Mhm.
they may have some wiggle room to do that because these five other things that she's added were not based on the initial ruling and were not included in the initial ruling. So I think they may have some a leg to stand on
Mhm.
in
Mhm.
rolling those back.
Mhm.
And instead, Apple may assess fines for them not following the order. So
Got it.
I think it's very much a petty off at this point.
Mhm.
You piss me off, I piss you off. We're gonna keep going like a tit for tat, back
Mhm.
and forth
Mhm.
kind of thing. And Epic is pretty much just sitting back and watching the courts and Apple go for it because
Mhm.
they basically got what they wanted,
Right.
and anything else that this judge hands over is gravy to them because it's like, hey, we already won. We already
Mhm.
got what we wanted. And now she wants to
Mhm.
give us more stuff. I'm not saying nothing because in the article it says Epic declined. And if I were them, I wouldn't say anything either
Mhm.
because if you're giving me more stuff after I already got everything I wanted, I'm going to sit over here and eat my salad and just take all the other freebies you're going to give me. But like I said, this judge, I think they have a leg to stand on when it comes to rolling back the basically the retaliatory things that she did.
Yeah, so here's the things that Apple wants in this new appeal. Vacating the new injunction that bans all commissions on external purchases.
Not getting
Apple's
that.
yeah, Apple they're trying. Strike down the 5 additional restrictions on steering, such as button design, disclosure templates, and where the external links can appear in the app, because the judge said, I don't care where they put them. They can put them anywhere if they want to. Apple's like, hold up.
Wait a
reversing,
minute.
reversing the civil contempt finding, terminating all injunctive relief based on the California precedent, an argument the judge has rejected in the past, and reassigning the case to a new judge if the
Hmm.
case goes back to the district point court. Apple was saying that this lady, she's biased already. The
Yeah.
original judge will reasonably be expected upon remand to have substantial difficulty in putting out his or her mind previously expressed views or findings, or when reassignment is advisable to preserve the appearance of justice. Claims both circumstances are present here.
Hmm.
So I get what Apple's trying to do. This is just
Yeah.
another tactic to drag it out. But for them to
Yeah.
say reassignment is advisable to preserve the appearance of justice. All right, Apple, come on, dog. You
I mean,
lost.
I
You
I
lost,
will
but
have
go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I will say it's smart of them, I think, to put in there about the reassigning a new judge because, again, one, they've already pissed her off throughout
Right.
this whole process, and she does probably have some bias. And I think the civil contempt filing, pretty much says that. Um, but the thing is, if they don't agree to any of this, they're still going to have the same judge. She's going to be even more pissed and even less likely to put up with their shit. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what Apple wants people to do, is put up with it. And I
yeah,
think most people, this judge definitely is done with it. But I
yeah,
think most people are like, come on, Apple, you lost, dog. Pay up the
yeah.
money, comply with the stuff, and keep it moving. Y'all got other problems to be worried about
Y'all
right
got bigger
now.
problems. Yeah, yeah.
So
And I
this
think
go
is
ahead.
there was I was gonna say is there because I one of the things that they are trying to get in the new appeal is to change where they put the links in the
Right.
app. So
Yeah.
right now I'm assuming there are specific um design changes of where they can put the link or no?
Yeah,
Oh,
yes.
they
So
are.
yes,
Okay.
so that's, I think, again, this is Apple's dragging their feet tactic, and they put out all these new, call them uh reference documents
Mhm.
that has all these restrictions and rules and laws as to how, when, and where these third party links can show up. So much, not so much so. My assumption is in an attempt to make it as hard as possible for people to
Yeah.
comply so they can
Almost
just be
like
petty.
when you unsubscribe to something, they put it in the finest print at the very bottom, and
At
even when
the
you click
end of
on it,
all the
it asks you
screens.
all these
Yep.
questions
Yep.
to deter you from even doing so. It's like, you know
Yeah.
what? Forget it. I'm not doing this.
That's
Yeah.
exactly, or just to make it complicated and
Yeah.
difficult because they're being petty. And the
Yeah.
judge was like, I see what you're doing. Y'all whack for this.
Mhm.
Stop it. And Apple's like, but wait a minute, you got to understand this lady. We got to make sure she's out of here to preserve the appearance of justice. I'm like, all right, that line right there, the appearance of justice. You're saying that
Yeah.
this lady, responding to y'all crap, is somehow she's now vacant of justice. And it's like, come on, all right, come on now,
But is
come on.
this what lawyers do? Is this
Yes,
what corporate lawyers do?
that's what they
And
do.
and the thing is, we were saying, they have bigger things to worry about, but they have a whole legal department that does this.
I get
And
it.
I'm pretty sure their legal department is very well staffed and they got nothing but time. There's like, you know what?
Sure.
We got nothing but time to drag this out and to do all these other different things. So I think they're gonna keep up with it
But I
and
guess
keep
it's gonna
trying
make
to
them
make it
look
as good.
worse. It's gonna make
It
them. It's
is.
gonna make them with all the other stuff going on with the AI, right?
Yeah.
And then this long-standing battle, and then the EU is trying to get them to do a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, Apple, choose your battles. You chose this big battle, and you inevitably lost.
Yeah.
Pack up your tuck
Take
your
this
tail
L,
between your
bro.
legs and keep it moving.
Pack up your ball and go home. If
Yeah.
I were them, I'd probably focus more on the EU because at this point, some of the stuff that
Hmm.
the EU is asking them to do is
Hmm.
quite frankly ridiculous.
Hmm.
It
But you got to
some of the stuff
focus.
is because
Sure, but
just focus there.
yeah. And that every argument argued in court is public.
Yeah,
Like these lawyers, like you said, they make this is their job, but we very
yeah,
rarely hear about it
yeah,
until now because it's Apple. Now all these little tricks, people are like, "Bro, what are you doing?" And Apple's like,
yeah.
"What we always do." And it's like, "But cut it out, though. You're Apple."
Now we're seeing it though. We're now
Hmm.
before this was the legal stuff was kind of under the rug, but this particular case with Epic because they do Fortnite and Fortnite is so big, it's got the spotlight dead on your face,
And then
and
they looking
everybody's watching.
and they're wilting under the light.
Yeah, yeah,
All
yeah, yeah.
right, next story. Apple changes course on the Finder app launcher. So basically, give you a summary. Apple, back in WWDC, announces new liquid glass design to where things look translucent in hopes to be able to see more things and then offer additional customizations for end users to do.
Hmm.
What people don't want changed, apparently, is the Finder app icon in Mac. For those who don't know or don't use a Mac, the way you search for files, if you're PC, is called Windows Explorer. For Mac, it's called Finder. And the Finder logo is a little man, not a little man, a face
Hmm.
with a nose, two eyes, and a smile. And
Hmm.
then half of him is a light color blue, and the other half is a dark color blue.
Hmm.
So that is what Finder looks like. Apparently, under this new liquid glass thing, the Finder app don't look right, and people are pissed. And I'm just gonna read these clips from the story. For many users, the smiling blue and white face that's lived in the dock for over 2 decades isn't just an app launcher; it's a symbol of the Mac itself. So when Apple unveiled a new version of the altered proportions, inverted colors, and a softened expression, the backlash was swift and passionate. Within hours, social media lit up with posts mourning the loss of the familiar Finder smile. Entire Reddit threads were devoted to dissecting the icon's geometry. Look, I thought I was an Apple fan. I ain't that. I ain't
I'm
that
not
high.
that into it. Like I'm googling it now to see
Yeah, what
what
it
the
looks like.
difference is because now it's like it's completely different.
Yeah, that's how it ain't. But you look, these are these people thing, right? Users weren't just criticizing the aesthetic; they were mourning what felt like a loss of identity.
Oh my god,
Yeah,
dramatic much.
yeah, right. In a quiet but telling update to the macOS 26 developer beta 2, Apple reverted the Finder icon to its original design. Well, sort of. The new icon still has the liquid glass treatment, but Apple changed the color placement back. It did it without an announcement or press release, just a slight change in the second beta, but it comes with massive implications. I don't know what those massive implications are.
Oh, girl.
Relax, right.
I'm looking at it and it looks the major difference is instead of it being a split color of
Mm-hmm,
white, I mean, a really, really light blue and
mm-hmm,
like a sky blue, is
mm-hmm,
that now is basically all sky blue,
mm-hmm.
but where the white is, it has the trim of the
Yeah.
rather than just the white, just a
It,
stark contrast of the light blue and the sky blue. I
yeah.
mean,
The
they're
dark
good.
blue is not very the light is not very prominent, and the smile has changed. But come on, yeah, y'all tripping, and she was tripping, being all dramatic in this story.
These
but
people are nuts.
but this is what betas are for. This is what
Yeah.
betas are for. People are, again, I don't know if it's just we just vomit our first thoughts on social media, but it's like if you do download the developer beta, the whole part of the beta is for you to test it and provide
Your
feedback.
thoughts. Yeah.
They have a specific app and a specific link to where you click on to share any
Your
sort of
feedback.
your feedback, changes, updates, or whatever. My guess is nobody did that, but they ran to the internet to do this funeral of the Finder app, which
Oh
again,
my
like Nika said, ain't no big deal. But again, Apple, I mean, squeaky wheel gets the oil. Apple responded, and they, according to this latest beta, they have changed it back. I don't know what it looks like after the change. I don't think the story puts that in there, but apparently people were upset and Apple listened and they made the change. So take that what you will.
This is insane. I swear.
Yeah, it wasn't no big thing. It's just people, again, Apple, again, this goes back to the original story. Apple is the center of attention when it comes to technology. So
Yeah.
any little change, any little update, any little glean of new information is going to take center stage. And Apple has to
Because you're
decide.
changing the future. You're changing everything. It's just so
And
much.
Apple, yep. And Apple's going to choose his battles. And I think with this one, Apple was like, you know what? We ain't got the energy. Just put it
We
back.
can easily flip that back and go on about our lives because these people are nuts.
Just put
They
it back.
probably really think people are nuts.
Just put it back. All right.
Just
So that was a short one. This last story I got in the lowdown for all those who are interested in an Apple card. Chase Sapphire debuts a new reserve card with Apple Music and TV Plus benefit. So basically, to summarize, the new Sapphire Reserve card gives you a $250 annual credit towards Apple TV Plus and Apple Music for the first time. If you were to sign up for each service individually, it'd be like $10 a month for Apple Music, or $11 a month for Apple Music, and $10 a month for Apple TV Plus, making it roughly $21 a month, which equates to $252 a year. So, long story short, if you apply for the Chase Reserve card, and I think there's some other stipulations you have to hit, like you got to spend $5,000 within the first couple of months. But if you do that, in addition to the Chase rewards points you get, in addition to the $500 Chase travel credit, yeah, you got to spend $5,000 in the first 3 months. You get 100,000 Chase points are enough value for just opening a card to get a MacBook Air. But in addition to the reward points and the travel credit, you'll get this $250 annual credit towards Apple TV Plus and Apple Music, essentially making both free with the exception of a couple dollars in
mm.
taxes, right? So just wanted to put that out there. What do you think about Chase? If I remember, wasn't they one of the companies angling to get the credit card away from um, ch- um,
MasterCard?
Goldman Sachs? Goldman
Goldman
Sachs,
Sachs. I don't know. Maybe they were because I know it was a few. No, I thought it was Amex, MasterCard. No, Amex,
Mastercard,
MasterCard want to
maybe
take over
Discover.
everything.
Okay.
And I think Discover. I think those. I don't think it was Chase. But I've heard I don't have a Chase card, but
Mhm.
I've heard kind of
Yeah. Let me
back and
JP
forth things.
Real quick,
behind it.
JP Morgan in talks with Apple to take over credit card from Goldman Sachs. Yeah, I could have swore Chase was one of JP Morgan Chase was one of the companies in talks. Again, just talks.
Ah, okay,
Yeah.
they are part of JP Morgan.
Yeah,
They
Chase
are,
is
they
part of
are.
Jake. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know if you don't have, I guess I think kind of looking at this Chase Sapphire Reserve
Hmm.
maybe trying to compete a little bit with the American
American
Express
Express.
Platinum,
Okay. All right.
maybe. I'm looking at some of the things that they have on
Benefits.
here, and
Yeah.
it kind of fits.
Hmm.
I just heard, I don't know if it's the credit, maybe the credit card side of Chase is fine, but I know a lot of people who have Chase bank
Bank
cards,
accounts.
yeah, they are not happy. It's like if you buy something, they'll suspend it really easily if you don't
Mm-hmm.
uh, call, or it's like a bunch of things. I've seen a lot of people complain
Mm-hmm.
about the Chase about Chase.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming maybe now, since I'm seeing this Sapphire Reserve card stuff, that maybe people that are having issues with Chase is on the banking side and not on the credit card side. So,
Right. Right.
but yeah, so
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. What do you think? Can this type of card with this Apple Music and Apple TV Plus perk get people to, I don't know, abandon their Apple credit card? Or if they're choosing between, if you're an Apple fan
Hmm.
and you're typically was going to choose an Apple credit card, would this new card with these new features give you some pause before you automatically apply for an Apple credit card?
I guess it could, depending on if you didn't have another card that
Mhm.
had some of these things.
Mhm.
Maybe if you're really just kind of getting into the credit card game, or
Mhm.
you're looking for something, fairly specific. I think on some of the, because like I said, this looks like this Sapphire Reserve card is trying to compete with some of the American Express benefits.
Mhm.
So
Including
it,
that annual fee of $800 for the
yeah,
annual fee for Chase, which is in line with a lot of the Amex stuff as well.
yeah, it's actually more than the MX, which
Mhm.
is surprising. Like I said, reading through some of the benefits, it looks like it's trying to compete with that. It, to me, this card doesn't say I compete with Apple Card. This card
Okay.
says
I compete
I
with American
compete
Express.
with American Express, but I'm giving you some Apple Card benefits. And
Mhm.
I know it's from what initially, I don't know if it's still the same case, but it was hard for some people to what's the word I'm looking for, to get approved
Uh-huh.
for Apple Cards.
Mhm.
So maybe the approval process for Chase may be
A
a
little bit.
little bit more forgiving.
Yeah.
So maybe if you know that you don't fit the threshold for an Apple Card,
Mhm.
going to get this one, or if you can't, the threshold for Apple Card and American Express are pretty high. I don't
Mhm.
know what the threshold is for Chase, but this may give you that kind of hybrid Apple Card / American Express.
Mhm.
Maybe you can get that with this.
So maybe a combo, and replace the American Express with the
Right.
Chase. Okay. All
Right.
right. All right. All right. Um, uh, I think we have a Chase card, but it's business. So, and we
Mm-hmm.
hardly ever use it. So I don't have any
Mm-hmm.
problems with the credit card side. I think we also have a Chase banking and checking account, and we don't ever use it because we just got it. everybody was everybody was starting LLC, so we was like, you know what, we
Yeah.
gonna start an LLC, and ain't done nothing with it
Right.
since. But all that to being said, we do have a Chase credit card, we have Chase checking and savings, but we don't have those problems because we don't use it.
Yeah.
I use Apple Card for my personal expenses and for me and both of my daughters now because my daughter is of age, my middle child is of age to where now she gets to learn how to use credit cards. So I've added her in addition to her sister to my credit card so she can start charging
Building credit.
things and
Yep.
and not even building credit because with the Apple Card, even as a authorized user, you got to be 18 before your charges start to
Ah,
build your credit.
build your credit.
But that ain't
Gotcha.
even that's secondary to the main reason for getting them to use it so soon is to know how to use credit cards because what people don't know how to do is use credit
They
cards.
just run it up and
They
then
charge,
just pay the
charge,
minimum. That's the
charge,
how it
charge,
works.
charge, charge,
Yeah.
charge. And then at the end of the month, oh, wouldn't you know it, I don't have all the money to pay back. So
Yeah.
let me pay you. Let me put something on it.
Put some on it.
Not
And that
under
rolls over to next month. Yep.
and not understanding the interest charges,
Yep.
not understanding APY, not
Yeah.
understanding, how to pay credit cards back, not understanding how to not charge more than you can afford.
Yep.
I heard this on I can't take credit for this. It was on social media somewhere. Oh, this is a
Hmm.
tangent for those who listening. This is a tangent.
We do those sometimes.
I heard this on social media. This guy, his father was teaching his son about finances.
Hmm.
And his thing was, if you see something that you want to buy, you should be able to look in your bank account and see that you can afford that thing 3 times over.
Yep.
So if it's $20, you got to have 20, 40, $60 in the bank before you can afford that $20 thing. So that is the kind of mindset that I'm using with my daughters for credit, not just for finances, because we're already like, she already's got a bank account. She already knows about that. And so the next level is credit cards. Our thing
Yeah.
is, all right, now you just can't put some on it at the end of the month. You got to pay your entire balance off. So what
Yep.
I've done is I've shown her the ropes. I told her how to use it, added her as an authorized user, and set a reminder that says on this every month on the 15th and the 31st, they get a
Hmm.
reminder, pay your credit card off. And then they have to come send me the money. That is
Hmm.
them paying their credit card bill, and I go ahead and pay off there. But they have to tally up the amounts and pay it off in full. Ain't no carryover to the other month, right? So in hopes, if they're starting this out as tweens and teenagers, by the time they get 18, by the time they get 21, by the
It's
time
second nature.
it's second, it's you don't even think about it. If I can't
That's
afford
just the
it,
way it works.
if I can't afford it, if I can't pay it off at the end of the month, I can't afford it. So
Yeah.
all that to say, we're using Apple Card for that. We have to see if this Chase card may have me doing something else for the babies, right?
Sliding over.
All right, so that is going to do it for the lowdown. We're going to move into second string, and this is something close to us being both in the metropolitan Atlanta area. It seems as if the Waymo Robotaxis have made
Mhm.
it to the city of Atlanta,
Yes, they have.
Atlanta for Uber users. So basically, how this works is dozens of Waymo vehicles are now available to any and all Uber users in Metro Atlanta when selecting Uber X, Comfort, or Comfort Electric in the app. If you choose the Waymo Robotaxi, this completely automated, manless, or driverless taxi Uber will pick you up and take you where you need to go in the metropolitan city of Atlanta. My question to you is, are you going to use this or are you going to wait? What's your take on robo taxis here in Atlanta?
So I was in Phoenix earlier this year, and I believe that's where Waymo started,
Hmm.
or they were either the second place behind San Francisco.
Hmm.
Waymos are everywhere. They are just like a regular car on the street. It was so many of those things out there. And I actually, when I was leaving the resort to go to the airport, I actually booked a Waymo.
Hmm.
And by some reason, I don't know, it didn't come. And so I had to book something else, which was super
Hmm.
weird. But that's Uber. Sometimes they just kind of like cancel whatever. But I've seen them actually, the Waymo cars, around Atlanta. I've seen
Oh,
them a
okay.
few different times.
All
And I was
right.
like, "Oh, there's Waymo. There's Waymo." I've seen it a couple of times. So
Hmm.
yeah, I do it. I mean, I was in that industry before,
Hmm.
so and I never got to actually ride in one of the vehicles that we had something similar to this for.
Hmm.
So yeah, I do
All right. I don't know. As what's it call it when you adopt something first? What is it called?
it. Early adopter?
Yes. As a typical early adopter for some things, I don't know. I don't know. I would have to I would have to see or experience from other drivers. So I'll let you go do it, and then you report back on the successes, the failures, the ins and outs, the pros and cons, and then maybe I would it would have to be a situation to where I'm in the city of Atlanta purposely Ubering to wherever I'm going back and forth,
Yeah.
right? It would have to be a short distance, and it couldn't be on the interstate. Well, I don't know if they're on the interstate or not. I'm not sure how. I'm pretty sure they're just restricted city streets. But it would have to be like within 5 or 10 minutes of where I'm going. And I just don't feel like walking, and all the other Ubers are taken up. Then I may be like, click the Waymo. I'm just going 3 miles down the road in a straight line, no turns.
Well, that defeats the point. You want to see it do its thing. But I think the thing to remember about Waymo, they're pretty wide. Like I said, they're pretty widely adopted in
Hmm.
other metropolitan cities. This is its
Hmm.
first entry into the metro Atlanta area. And
Hmm.
right now, it's only a limited radius that you
Okay.
can take
You know,
these things on.
got it.
So they're not going all the way out to Douglasville and bring you in town. This is
Right.
pretty much I'm thinking it's probably mostly inside the perimeter
Hmm.
driving.
Hmm.
I doubt that this is for outside
Okay.
of the perimeter driving. This is probably mostly for city
Yeah.
driving, city
Okay.
navigation. So I think you're probably safe in that respect. And pretty much like you said, if you're say going to into the city for a conference or something or for
Right.
a concert and you park somewhere, you
Hmm.
go and then it's like, hey, let's do after event drinks or after event
Hmm.
dinner, and you don't want to go back to your car and drive somewhere. You just grab
And have to
a
deal with
Waymo from
parking.
wherever you're at,
Yeah.
take you there, get the Waymo to take you back to your car, and then you
Hmm.
be on your way. But I
Yeah.
think, like I said, I think that's probably the biggest use case for this are people who live in the city,
Yeah.
who
And they're
live inside
frequently
the
back and
perimeter
forth.
and
Yeah.
are back and forth a lot, or people who maybe don't own a car because they live inside the perimeter, they have easy access
Hmm.
to public transportation and those types of things. I'm thinking that's probably the target audience for now. And then if this, I don't think this is considered a pilot, but I think if they see good results with this, they may continue to expand, the radius of where they're
Hmm.
allowed these cars to go. So yeah, if I'm somewhere, I don't know if I'm technically where I live, if it's even
Close enough.
in if it's close enough, it might
Yeah.
be. I might be just probably close enough. Similar to I was on what DTNS what was it last month, I think, and we were
Hmm.
talking about how Walmart is going to start doing the drone deliveries
Hmm.
for groceries or whatever you order from Walmart. And I think I might be
In the area too.
in the area, yeah. And yeah, I'm looking at my app and it looks like I can try it.
All right. And you
I
heard it
think
here
that was my
first. Live on the Snob OS show, Nica requesting a Waymo Uber ride.
Yeah, I just set my purposes and turned it on to say, "Hey, yeah, let me do it."
All right. All
So,
right.
woohoo.
So the guy, so it was almost like a little interview. Um, this guy on Axios, this is where I'm reading this from.
Mhm.
He took it himself and he says, save for an unexpected swerve down a side street to bypass traffic cones and a wood chipper blocking a lane. My ride was calm and peaceful. Again, I don't know what time of day he was riding or taking this trip. I guess in Atlanta, I guess that's something we got to get used to. If you are, especially I can see using it for parking, right?
Yeah.
I drive into the city,
Mhm.
get close as I possibly can, free parking,
Yeah.
right? Before you get into the madness, it's not distinct, but there is you've gone too far to where you're going to have to pay to park.
Yeah.
So maybe, you drive close enough to get close and still have free parking, park your car, get the Waymo, go the rest of the way to the event, to the hotel, to the conference, to the sport, whatever, and then
Yeah.
come back. Or the same thing with MARTA, take the MARTA into the city and then Waymo from the MARTA to wherever you're going and back, so.
Yeah. And the guy that you were talking about from the article, he took a
Mhm.
demo ride from Old Fourth Ward to Emmett Park. That's a really great, area to try it out in because it's
Yeah.
it's still technically in the city.
Mhm.
And they do have a lot of side streets and there's a
Mhm.
lot of construction that's usually being going on down there. So you can kind of get the feel of, like you said, taking a side street or, taking the main street. So yeah. So
Mhm.
the next time I have to do something like that,
Yeah, do it
I'm
do
gonna
it for
make
the
that
show.
specific.
Do it for the
Yeah,
show.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna purposely not drive and say, hey, let me take a Waymo and see what it's
we
got
we
going
we
on.
we gonna pray for you too while you do it.
I wish this was activated during the render conference in Atlanta
Oh,
Tech Week
yeah.
because I definitely
Would have did it then.
would have done it then. Yeah.
And you probably could get it fast because people like me scary and won't do it. So you could probably get
Yeah.
a ride within 2
Yeah.
minutes, get where you need to
Yeah.
go first while the rest of us like, I don't know. All right. So that is going to do it for second string. We're going to move into for the culture. Have you been keeping up with this whole B.Simone thing that's been going on?
I've intentionally avoided it because this girl is a when I saw her in the church
Mm-hmm.
thing
Mm-hmm.
with the blazer, the tie, and the
And the
booty
booty
shorts,
shorts. Yeah.
I already knew she was on some shady stuff before, but
Right.
when I saw that, I was like, you know what? Count me out. I don't want to see any of this because this is insane.
Yeah. All right. So she, for those who don't know, B Simone is I guess we'll call her, I guess she's a social, I don't want to say I guess. She is a social media influencer.
Hmm.
And she's been doing social media since I want to say as early as 2012 to 2014.
She was one of
Um,
the original ones, I think, right?
yeah. I'm reading this story from Ebony, and they have a link to where they kind of chronicle her social media era
Okay.
and some of her fumbles as well that people we kind of slapped her on the wrist for, right? These
Right.
latest ones, which has brought her back up in the news as of recently, was she was on a podcast and she was talking about her finances as it relates to making money via social media.
Hmm.
And she was being very transparent, which it seems like, again, I really don't follow her that close, but going back through this timeline, either she was like hustle, 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 and whatever's the new thing is whatever the new thing. But I get the impression that she was taking us along with along for the ride. All of her new ventures, all of her new things that she would be doing, whether it be a book, whether it be a podcast, whether it be whatever. It appears that she was very transparent. And I think that may have been some of her problem, right? Because fast forward to this latest thing, she was talking to her co-host or whoever was the host of this show, and I gotta find the right link. But basically, what happened was she was talking to this podcast host, and basically she was being very transparent about her finances, saying so much as to say, I don't have it liquid. I've got assets, I've got investments, I've got all these other things, but I'm used to looking at in my bank account and seeing a certain number, and that number
Hmm.
hasn't been there, and I'm paraphrasing, hasn't been there for a while, and I've had to make some life decisions. And one
Hmm.
of the life decisions that she got caught up on was she was crying or whatever the case may, or she was upset. And she said she was in Bloomingdale's shopping and she
Hmm.
came to the realization that she ain't got Bloomingdale's money. And she was so distraught and upset that she had to choose to then shop at H&M instead of Bloomingdale's, right?
Hmm.
Which on the facet of it,
Surface.
it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
on the surface of it, you're like, oh, okay, so you're seeing your finances change and you're changing your lifestyle to adjust to
Hmm.
cope, right? What she is failing to understand is her base of people who are following her ain't been on that same ride as her as far as finances.
Hmm.
So it looked very to the understanding that I got, it looked tone deaf
Hmm.
that she was, oh, my finances are so messed up that I can only shop at H&M. when
Mhm.
people who are following her is like, girl, you got enough money
That's
to shop at H&M? Like, what,
yeah,
why are you bagging it? I'm not saying she was bagging on H&M, but the way it framed it was, I can't afford to
it's
shop at
less than.
Bloomingdale's.
Yeah,
Right. I'm upset that I have to shop at H&M.
yeah,
And we're like,
yeah,
wait a minute, what's wrong with H&M? They
right.
got some fly stuff in there. What is with H&M? So all that to say, I just wanted to get your takes on these latest things. Oh, and the other latest thing was she was talking to her co-host or previous co-host, I don't know the context,
Mhm.
and the lady was saying, girl, it's hard or it's interesting to be the friend of a celebrity because you just assume wherever they go is where you'll go.
Yeah.
But in reality, I saw, this is the guest, the
Mhm.
host. I saw you, B.Simone, giving money to people like philanthropic. Here's some money
Mhm.
to cover groceries or whatever. Meanwhile, your best friend, your friend, is over here
Mhm.
struggling. I had to get food stamps. I had to do all these things, and it hurt because the people closest to you, you think you got them. You
Mhm.
think you're covered when your friend is a
Yeah.
celebrity. I ain't saying she's not saying you had to pay all my rent and pay all
Mhm.
my finances,
But
but
you
you're
could buy me
giving.
some groceries.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
So again, that caused a kerfuffle. That caused a blow up again. So again, in both of those cases, it seems like the intent to be transparent and attempt to be honest was there, but it was very, very tone deaf and very. And in her response to the girl saying, "Hey, why you hook me up? Why you look out for me? You helping other people out. I'm supposed to be your peoples. You supposed to look out for me." Her only response was, "What was it? Jesus?
Jesus. Yeah.
Jesus?" Like, no.
So, yeah, so the thing is, with this B. Simone character, she's lost credibility a long time ago.
Okay.
So, from what I know of her, which is limited, I've seen like the snippets and stuff on social media. But what I gather is she is the typical Atlanta influencer. So
Okay.
it's a bunch of people. I'm sure it's in other cities as well, but we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about Atlanta. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I know Atlanta. There are a lot of people on
Mm-hmm.
social media that have millions of followers
Mm-hmm.
who are showing you this curated point of their life,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
who make it seem like they got it, but they don't have it.
Okay.
They don't have a place to live
Uh-huh.
on
They
their
sure.
own.
Right.
They don't have a car. They don't have all this money. They are presenting to you
Uh-huh.
what uh this image that they want to portray.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's social media, people buy into it and they
Sure.
think that what they see on social media is
Sure.
real life. We've
Mm-hmm.
seen this girl, write, I'm using that in air quotes for those of you who are listening, books. I think it turned out from the book that she wrote. She
Mm-hmm.
plagiarized all of it
Oh my
from
goodness.
somewhere else. She copied like I think there were kind of like puzzles or things in there.
Mm-hmm.
So she
Mm-hmm.
basically, it was like she didn't even try and change it at all.
Right.
It was basically copy paste.
Mm-hmm.
From what I'm seeing, people kind of do the rundown on social media because, like I said, I don't follow her like that. But what this is highlighting
Mm-hmm.
is that a lot of times when you see these people, especially in our community, when you
Mm-hmm.
see people flossing, they got Louis, they got Gucci, they
Mm-hmm.
got all these things.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, this is all a facade. You
Okay.
can rent bags now.
Sure. Oh
You can
wow.
rent, yeah, you can rent bags. You can rent designer clothes.
Mm.
There are whole apps that allow you to do this. And
Mm-hmm.
so people are always, oh, I only wear my thing one time. I only wear it one time because it's not theirs.
Because you got to
They
give it
rented
back.
it. So they have to give it back. And that's why you
Uh-huh.
never see them with it on again. But
Right.
again, it's giving this whole facade that they
Okay.
have it. And I
Uh-huh.
did see the clip of her and the best friend talking. And it, to me, that really solidified it. She couldn't help her friend
Because she was broke too.
because she was broke too.
Got it.
And wherever she was getting the money from to donate or be
Mm-hmm.
philanthropic, who knows where that money came from? Who
Sure.
knows if that
Sure.
person even got that money?
Sure. Sure.
Because
Sure.
it's easy to, I mean, we saw it with the FAMU, with the guy who said he was given the $1 billion
Right.
and had the fake check. Turns out not only was the big fake check fake,
The
but the
whole
real
business.
small check,
Yeah.
the whole, all of it was fake.
Right.
So
Right.
it just really, people get so caught up in the social media stuff, not
Sure.
realizing that these people you idolize, these people that you want to build your life around,
It's just
I
like you.
think it's just like you. And honestly, in a lot of instances, they're worse off because
Sure.
you at least have your 9 to 5.
Sure.
You're able to, feed yourself,
Call in
house
sick.
yourself, call. You have these things, and they
Uh,
are giving you this image of
right.
what's true. I think we can even see. I don't think we've talked about it on our show, but the whole P Diddy thing when the one of the girlfriend, she was like an IG model or something.
Mm-hmm.
They don't She was basically depraving herself for $10,000 a month for rent.
Mm-hmm.
So you
Mm-hmm.
see her on social media on the yachts with the stuff and all
Mm-hmm.
these things, but
Mm-hmm.
she's being smutted out in some of the most horrible ways where she's had to go to
To
therapy and
support this
she's still
fake
not recovered
lifestyle.
to project this fake lifestyle and to pretend that it's theirs. And
Mm-hmm.
this is what a lot of these social media people,
Mm-hmm.
particularly in our
Mm-hmm.
community,
Sure.
where they buy into it and
And they
all these
don't admit
girls
that they got a job. They don't admit that they working just like us and not
right.
letting on that they got mortgages and debt and credit and all the things that we have. We
All
are
the
looking
things
to
that the
them.
regular people have, right?
Yeah, yeah. We're looking to them like they've what is it?
Ascended.
Ascended. Yeah,
Yeah.
ascended, through that. And in actuality, they're going through it and it comes crashing when they have
Yeah.
to fess up.
When there is no way that they can fake it anymore.
Yeah,
And they
sure.
have to acknowledge the truth. And then this is where honestly, this is where the grift kind of gives a little more legs.
Hmm.
I'm just like you. Oh, I have
So you
things, and
think
they
this
play the whole
the
sad
next
card.
hustle, huh? Her
I think
this whole
the church thing is definitely the next hustle.
okay. Okay.
I've seen it from, I think, what's the girl who was dating all of the football players, all the athletes.
Uh
Then
uh Renner, Brittany Reiner?
yes, she
Okay.
turned Muslim
Oh, did she?
and she was wearing the hijab, and
Child.
she was going
That's
through the
what
whole thing, but now they're showing pictures without her hair covered, without the thing. So I don't I don't want to say that someone faked a religion. That could have been, she could have converted, that
fake
could
your
have been what she
spirituality.
wanted, and then she decided not to. It could have been genuine or whatever, but it appears
Mhm.
that it was just all another thing because similar to this B.Simone girl, she wasn't, with the ballers and stuff like she was before.
Mhm.
Money was kind of drying up, that type of thing. And
Mhm.
so they pivot because we know it's a certain segment of the population, especially in the Black church, where if you pivot where, oh, I was such a sinner, I was just out there in the world, but then God called me and now I'm
Sure.
here to serve. And people latch onto that because they can, I think, what's the word? They can not assimilate, they can recognize, those kind of things. And it's like, oh, if they can do that, then I can. They probably have more to say, or I can learn from them. And it's just an endless cycle. But like I said
Yeah.
at the top of this, when she showed up to the women's church meeting
With the
in
little
a
tiny booty
blazer,
shorts. Yeah.
she was
I don't know what
Steve
that was
Harvey
about.
on top and Meg the Stallion on the bottom. And I
Yeah.
was like, you at a church doing that, babe? Really?
Yeah.
And it's really leaning into like that, like I said, the social influencer IG, model hot girl to church pipeline
Mhm.
is very well known and visible because a lot of the girls are doing it because they're recognizing once you get to a certain age or once you're oversaturated in that market, then you can't stay in that lane. You can't stay over there in that social media space forever when you've been there so long and you've kind of cycled through the process. So
I can
I
definitely
just
see
hope.
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I just hope people can be very vulnerable in the church space,
Mhm.
especially these girls who are looking for something, who are
Mhm.
looking for a mentor, who are
A
looking
model.
to
Mhm.
a model or to, to fill
Mhm.
some of the stuff that they have in them. They're already they're vulnerable and they already
Susceptible.
have certain issues. And people like this tap into that. I just
Mhm.
really hope that they aren't causing harm to already vulnerable people
Yeah.
in these spaces, because that would be heartbreaking. It's one thing you out here doing whatever you're doing for yourself, but to involve someone else who's already vulnerable, who's already hurting, who's already trying to heal from whatever they've gone through, but for you to insinuate yourself in there, knowing that you don't have good intentions, that's just that's kind of where you like draw the line and say this has gone too far.
I hope this is a wake up call to people who are considering making a career out of social media and people who consumers of social media. One, if you're looking to get into the social media as a career, you have to have a more specific plan than I'm just going to keep posting until I become a social media influencer, right? That's not
Mhm.
the way to go because one, you're going to burn yourself out. And two, you are always going to be looking for shortcuts. You're always going to be looking for quick ways there. You're going to be
Mhm.
looking for a back door. You're going to be looking for an open window. You're going to look for any way to get there as fast as possible because all you're doing is posting, 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 right?
Mhm.
You see everybody else doing it. You're not getting no traction. So you look for shortcuts. And
Yeah.
that's where the grift comes in to where you are creating courses. I'm not saying this for everybody. Please
Yeah.
hear me. I'm saying those who there's only a certain amount of people can do it. Everybody can't do it. We think everybody's doing it, which is half of the problem here. Everybody ain't doing it, right? So
Yeah.
you will look to take shortcuts to set yourself apart. And that's where sometimes people start grifting. That's where the courses
Yeah.
come in. That's where these speaking engagements come in that you have no business being. That's when on the internet running your mouth for hot
Yeah.
takes because you think somebody's going to pick you up because whatever you said was trendy, whatever the case may be. And those to me, you're taking shortcuts because one, you never had a plan in the first place. And
Mhm.
two, you're just doing what everybody else is doing and you're trying to take shortcuts to get there. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping this is a message for people looking to get in the social media game to be like, yo, let me keep my job and come up with a better plan and save up
Yeah.
some money so I can invest in the social media thing the right way. So I'm
Yeah.
not looking for those corners to cut, right?
Yeah.
And then two, for
Because
the people,
there are real people behind these that
yeah,
you're
and
interact. These are real people.
right. And that speaking of which, the people who are currently doing it to where it's like, yo, I get that you have to portray a certain lifestyle, but at what cost? What cost are you putting on yourself, on your family members, your family, friends and family, just your well-being when you're always trying to hustle just to keep up the appearance,
Yeah.
not necessarily, rake in all the money and rake in all the followers and make all these brand deals. You are literally just trying to perpetuate this lifestyle. And I don't think that is in my opinion, I don't think that is why a lot of us follow social media now. As a offset to that, we may find somebody that we think, oh, they doing it.
Mhm.
They've made it, right? But that's not the goal of most people on social media,
Yeah.
looking for somebody who's got it so they can
Yeah.
emulate their life after. They're looking for
Yeah.
entertainment. And
Yeah.
as fast as you come on their feed, as the fast as they can
They
scroll,
swipe. Yep.
so it's got to be more than just keeping up with appearances.
Yeah. And I think like kind of what you said before we get off this, I know we've been talking for a while, but kind of like you mentioned before when we were talking about, you putting your girls on your card with you.
Mhm, mhm,
Some of these girls, not just the girls, some of these people who do the social media thing, they make a grip. But
mhm.
as soon as they make it, they spend it. And that's the thing that really confuses me,
And not
with
just
the
wasting it. Let me cut you off real quick.
uh
Not just wasting it, but they like buying stuff that they need. Like I pay my mom's house off. I
mhm,
bought a car. I bought
mhm.
property. But if you, as soon as you get it and you spend it all, now you scrambling for the next lick, and it may or may not come. So that's all I want to say real
Yeah. And
quick.
and that's the thing. It's like you're so tied into the fake world that you've created
Hmm.
that you think that you really have it.
Need this
If you
stuff. Yeah.
go like kind of like the renter girl,
Hmm.
she's been with so many ball players. I know if she was a true finesser in that sense, she would have stacked that money
Hmm.
and made it work for her. But as
So she
soon as
wouldn't
they
have to
get
keep
it,
doing it. Yep.
Yeah, they buy bags, they go on trips, they do all these things instead of thinking long term. But again, that's probably wherein lies the problem. They didn't have that role model or that information on how
Or
to
the
do it, like you're
education.
teaching your girls now.
Mhm.
And so, of course, it just, as soon as it comes in, it goes out. So they never are able to consistently maintain. They're always, like you said, looking for the next lick, looking for the next thing. And
Mhm.
that's honestly, that's the sad part of it, because they
Mhm.
have the ingenuity. They've shown it, they've proven it, they know how to make it. They just don't know how to keep it.
Yeah. Yep. Sad, but hopefully it's a
Yeah.
wake up call for her and the other people because they didn't drag this girl enough. It's like, girl, pick up the message, man.
I bet she's going hardcore on this church thing.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be it.
Yeah. All right. So that's enough of that.
Yeah.
We're moving into the hookup. Real quick, this resurfaced, and I wanted to do this quick little tip. If you are concerned that let's just keep it 100. If you get pulled over by the police or the
Mhm.
police ask to see your phone, legally they can convince you to use your passcode to unlock your phone. What
Mhm.
they can't do is, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase it.
Okay.
They can use your biometrics to unlock your phone. What they can't do is convince you to recall a password. All you got to say is, I don't remember the password. But a lot of our phones nowadays are automatically set up to use biometrics, whether you put your thumb on or your fingerprint on the button or the screen, or
Mhm.
you're using your face, right? That's a quick way to get into the phone, but that can cause problems if somebody is trying to convince you to use your biometrics to get in your phone. What you want to do is force your phone to only use a passcode in order to unlock it. So that's my hookup. I think I've done this before, but I want to say it
Mhm.
again because somebody brought it up. You can use this tip to quickly lock down your phone to where you have to use a password in order to access it. And basically, how you do it on an iPhone is the sleep wake button and either or the volume up button or the volume down button. Press and hold them at the same time. Your phone will show. I don't know if you can see that. The
The
how
glare.
do they do that on the back? It'll show you the slide the power off. It'll show you the medical ID and it'll show you the emergency call. If you click cancel at the bottom, the only way I can get into my phone now is by a passcode. If I try to swipe up to use my face or use my thumb, it won't do it. I have to enter the passcode to do it. And the reason why that comes in handy, like I mentioned, is because now I need a passcode and somebody asks you, hey, get into your phone. I don't know to tell you. I don't
They
remember the
can't compare you
passcode.
to that. Where's your warrant, sir? Where's your
Right.
warrant? And it's also beneficial for traveling.
Mhm.
I recently saw that apparently this guy was denied entry into the company because when they
Country.
looked at his phone, he had a meme of JD Vance,
Mhm.
and they're saying that's why he wasn't allowed into the country. Or even when you're traveling, coming to and fro, and they want to look at your phone, they want to
Mhm.
look at your text. This
Mhm.
is a way to say, you need a warrant for me to be able to enter these things. So you
Mhm.
have to produce that.
Yeah, or you can, like I said, I don't remember what the passcode is. They can't
Yeah.
force you to remember the passcode. They
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
try to do everything, but if you don't remember it, what they gonna do? There's no other way to get into the phones, but you have to trick your phone into the only way you can get into it for a passcode for that to work. So
Or
that is
keep putting in the wrong ones until it's disabled. And it's like, oopsies,
my
nobody's getting
bad.
into it.
My
I
bad.
forgot it. Sorry. Good luck.
Yeah. All right. So that's going to do it for the hookup. And that sounds like it's going to do it for this week's show. Nika, tell the folks where they can find you.
You can find me at Tech Savvy Diva everywhere.
And you can find me all over the internet at Brother Tech. That's BROTHATECH. To find out what's going on with us, to find out what's going on with the show, please go to snoboscast.com. That'll give you all the details. And until next week, we are out. Peace.
Bye, everybody.